Wow, this is unprecedented. This is insanity. I literally am about to break my rule that I just implemented. This couldn't have happened at a worse time. But it kind of happened at a good time. I have tried all year to not predict my favorite album of the year. I failed at some numerous occasions. I have said earlier, very early this year, that Barren Earth's A Complex of Cages was going to be my album of the year. That album's held up very well. I have thought that Kids See Ghosts self-titled album was going to be album of the year. That one's held up really well. Dance Gavin Dance's album, Artificial Selection, thought that one might be album of the year. And I've tried not to nail down stuff, but it seems like a lot of my favorite releases came from way earlier this year. Something has come up out of the blue, something has come out of left field from a project that I guarantee no one watching this has probably heard of. And I can pretty much say, unless something just happens, this is my favorite album of the year. So let's talk about The Hunt by Ulvesang. Alex Boyd and Anna Dujakovic, they formed this in Nova Scotia. This is a two-man... what do I call this? Neo-folk? Darkfolk? Folk? Yeah. My favorite album of the year is a folk album. Not just a folk album, but a mostly instrumental folk album. And the humming works so well on this album. When I first heard Invocation, the very first track on the album, I knew that this was going to be something special. I knew it was going to be out there because, you know, this is only a 2-minute track. It's only 2 minutes and 2 seconds. But at the same time, you get this just kind of almost medieval Viking-sounding drum work, percussion just banging, perfectly audible, echoey, with some reverb on it, and these just so low, just deep vocals just humming. And it really reminds me of like some dirge from like the Viking era. I can imagine like on a ship just pounding drums, and it's such a good start to the album. And from the first track, from Invocation, I could tell that this was going to be something that I was going to dig no matter what. And what you get on this album is 10 tracks of amazingly atmospheric neo-folk with a lot of influences coming from a lot of different places, with some very just theatrical feel to it. This feels like I'm listening to a movie soundtrack without the vocals. Do you know those albums they sell where it's like the Black Panther soundtrack or the Fast and Furious soundtrack? It's like I'm listening to that without the instrumental. And obviously those were like harder albums. I'm saying this is what it feels like. This feels like something from like a John Williams movie or a Hans Zimmer movie. It's so mixed to perfection. Like how a duo that is very underground, very unknown as far as I know, be able to have such amazing mixing really does shock me. And I'm not 100% sure how they do it, but all the instruments and the humming vocals sound amazing on this album. It's immersive, it's entrancing, it's Deep Purple, it is just grinding in such a way that it is soft, it is mellow, it is beautiful, it is dark, it makes you feel emotions, it makes you think, it makes you reminisce, it makes you sad, it makes you happy, it uplifts you. This album is everything that I have looked for this year to review, and I stumbled upon it by complete accident. Track number 2, The Trial, really sums up why I love this album so much. Basic, just acoustic guitar leading the front, and it is so well mixed. It doesn't sound raw at all. This sounds like a professional studio. And then midway through the track, you get those humming vocals coming back, and a lot of people might think that they sound like repetitive, mundane, because they keep popping up, but I think they fit perfectly with this type of music. I don't think this music needs vocals. I don't think that if it did have vocals, it would have had the type of impact that it does for me at least. But this track sounds so theatrical. Listen to this and tell me this doesn't sound like it could be like the beginning or the ending credits of some like blockbuster fantasy movie. It's so good. And to be honest, straight up, The Dance, track number 3, outdoes The Trial. How? I'm not sure. This album gets better. Don't ask me. I didn't make it. But the dance is just these throttling staccato guitars at points that transcend into slower parts, and you get these hummed vocals that are going into a higher register, and then they descend back into the lower register, and I just hit my hat. I'm so excited about this album. It's just so... it's so melancholy, but moving at the same time. It's so calming, soothing, but still hard-hitting, still emotional, and some of the most moving instrumental work that I have ever heard. I am usually not into just instrumental work, or acoustic work for that matter, and yet this has just come out of nowhere and stole my album of the year. And I didn't think it was going to happen this late into the year, but here we are. The End, track number 4, it takes more of a kind of gloomier, darker feel, but it still maintains those lower hums and the beautiful crescendoing guitar, acoustic guitar, that is mixed to perfection, just hanging there right in your face. And I can't help, maybe this is just me because I'm a storyteller, but this album feels like it's telling a story without words, and that is something that is so rarely found that you have to hold on to that. You have to cling to it. When you find an album that is this good, you have to hold to it. I literally want to spend like 20 minutes going over this entire album, but I implore you guys to listen to this album. I'm going to post the link in the description. Please go listen to this album, and you can come back and give me your thoughts. It is by far one of the best albums that I have heard in my entire life. The emotion that I can explain, the things that I felt, are things that I pretty much haven't ever felt in, like, music in such a way. Obviously, music makes you feel emotions, but the type of emotions and what I went through listening to this album was such a roller coaster. It was so just well perfected, well tailored, a yarn that was just spun so tight knit, handcrafted and embroidered with only the most beautiful of things. This album's a 10 out of 10. I know I made that video the other day about 10 out of 10s. That was then, that was earlier this year. I can give 10 out of 10s now. And God, if any album genuinely deserved a 10 out of 10 this year, it has to be this album. So give me your thoughts in the comment section below. Go listen to this album. I'm going to put it at the top of the description. Once again, please go listen to this album. Support this artist. I will talk to you guys next time. Like, comment, subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And I'll see you next time. My name is Jay Morse, the Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.